Well, praise the Lord, everybody. This is Pastor Mel Keys, Joshua House of Worship, and I am Joshua Generation, and I'm so overjoyed. This has been a long time coming to get my dear sisters in the Lord, and certainly in kingdom business together, and what a place we are now enjoying. I'm talking about both my sisters, the lovely Hope Shelton, and she is in the CPS world. We refer to her, here's her official title.
Yes.
It is a faith-based specialist.
Perfect.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And then my dear sister Cheronda Tillman, her title, her official CPS title is Foster and Adopt Recruitment Specialist.
Correct.
Did I say that right?
You did.
I'm going to give myself a round of applause for that. They got some titles, but it's not the titles. Listen, guys, they are doing a powerful kingdom work. I'm so godly proud of each one of them. They're very active in their churches, but they're very active in the community. And we need to be those who are combining both worlds, because too many times we're in one and we're not in the other. So we're going to be having a very candid conversation about foster care, about adoption, and I'm overjoyed because they have personal stories of their own. So let's see who we're going to go with first. I think we should start with, it looks like you, Cheronda. All right. Thank you so much for having us out to kind of put this together. The other day we were together and you shared something with me and it really touched my heart. I had no idea that you had such a personal story connected to foster care and adopt. Can you give us some background?
Yes, absolutely. I mainly tell people that I became a CPS worker not because it was, my initial thoughts, but truly because I'm a humanitarian. I have a heart and a passion for the population we serve. But I think it also has something to do with me being a former foster youth myself. So I was in the foster care system with my siblings, and when I aged out and I was pursuing a degree in business, a couple of workers approached me and let me know about a position that was coming available through Senate Bill 6, where a former foster youth could come back and work with the agency and be basically an advocate. And that is one of the things that God definitely placed in my spirit, in my giftings, is to be an advocate. And so I definitely was humbled, and I jumped at the opportunity to really be the voice of those who, can't protect themselves,
yes,
and the voice of those as they age out, to really bring to light awareness of what their needs were and what was going to help them to be successful after care.
Incredible. Before we ask you, Hope, tell us, because you also talked about a few of the different positions and categories you served in. Tell us just a few of those.
Well, so I began as what they call their subject matter expert. So my official title was the youth specialist.
All right.
From there, I spent most of my years in the CPS system there. I've had a little over 11 years total at present. So most of my years were spent in that position. Then I transitioned into family group decision making. I was a circle of support specialist, and in that capacity, I assisted youth who were going to age out of the system so that they can get the connections and the resources that they needed, so then they would be successfully integrated into society, and then they could move on until their career endeavors in higher education. And then after that, I moved into the position of being a faith-based recruiter, which is now at present foster adopt recruitment specialist position.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. How? Talk to us, sister. How did you have your first experience with foster care, and what did you do?
Okay, so my first experience was when my parents came home and said they were going to be foster parents. Okay, what does that mean? Tell us about that. So my parents, as I was leaving high school going into college, became foster parents.
Okay.
And they fostered for several years with an agency that specialized in higher level kids. So kids who had more behavioral issues, more medical issues, kind of a little bit more traumatized.
Right.
And so they were foster parents for a few years, and because I was older and able to drive,
yes,
I helped with a lot of things. So
yes,
doctor's appointments, or somebody got in trouble at school, needed someone to pick them up. I kind of, Hope, go get the, okay.
Big
so
sis.
really involved. But I still didn't really think about working in foster care, but I remember the stories that they would tell. I had a foster brother who told me that he wasn't allowed to drink from the same Kool-Aid container as the biological kids. They had the foster kid Kool-Aid that he had to drink out of. I had another kiddo tell me that they had a lock on the refrigerator. So just like really just the exposure to what they were going through. I had never thought something could be that way.
Right.
And so, went off to college and all that kind of stuff. And I started working as what we would call, a family support specialist. So I helped families on visitation. So while they were visiting with their kids, I would monitor the visits, make sure they were safe and appropriate. I would go out to the home and teach them parenting skills, or how to clean the house, all that kind of stuff. So I was really involved. Directly picking up the kids from the foster home, bringing them to the visits and back, and then just kind of monitoring while I was there. I did that for a few years, and I moved back to Texas because I had moved to Nebraska for a while, of all places. And so I was there for a while, and so then when I came back, I said, okay, well, what else can I do? And so when I was in Nebraska, I was the person supervising visits, and then I moved into a caseworker position while I was still there. And so we were helping kids get home faster. We did sort of that family support that Cheronda talked about. So we really included the family in the decision making. We didn't tell you what you had to do. We said, let's work together to get to the final result, which is getting the kids home. So I did that for a while in Nebraska, moved back to Texas, started at CPS. I've been there 11 years, just like Cheronda, so we've been there for quite a while. And I started in investigations because I thought that was like the excitement, right? That's where I wanted to be. And it was a lot of excitement, but also very busy and overwhelming and very difficult work because you see families when they are very broken. You're coming in when kids are really unsafe. And sometimes you're able to work with the families and, quite often there's relatives who will step in, but there are times when you have to remove kids. And that's traumatizing. Parents are screaming, kids are screaming, police officers are there. It's just very chaotic. And so I did that for a few years, and then I moved into the foster adopt program and licensed foster homes, did the training, just kind of prepped the families to be able to take our kiddos and do so successfully, right? Because I want you to be successful if we're going to take our kiddos. In the midst of all of that, I started doing some faith-based work when I had time. It was one of the many hats that I wore. And through all of that, I had my niece go into foster care. And so when she went into foster care, I said, well, I guess I want to become a foster parent because I've got to help out. I can't just let her stay in the system. And so the journey has been wide and varied, and it started when I was in high school, and it kind of got me to the point I'm at today. But I remember thinking that if we could only see the hope in these kids. My personal experience was that my niece, I knew her, right? I loved her. She grew up in the house, and I didn't think that she was what people were saying she was. So on paper, she, read like this little terror. She's this awful kid, and she's not going to do well in a family. We're just going to keep her in an institution, pretty much. And so that didn't fly with me. So I took her, and it was challenging, but I got her to a place where she was off her medications. Her psychological evaluation was glowing. She went from poor grades to straight A's. So my personal journey has been one that if you would just love on these kids and treat them like you would if you really cared, that you can make changes in their lives and you can really help them to grow and to heal. And so, and I say that I helped her to get there. She did a lot of work. We had some professionals that were involved, right? When you're in foster care, there's a lot of professionals. And then, of course, we leaned on our church family to get her involved in positive activities where I could trust that she'd be okay and that kind of stuff. So, so through all of that and, being a foster parent, and then I became the faith-based specialist where that's all I do now. So before it was one of the many hats, but now I exclusively work in the faith-based community. So it's been a lot of fun.
That is incredible. You ladies are doing something that is so needed, so valuable. You know the scriptures as well as I do. The scriptures very clear. Pure religion and undefiled before God is this, to take care of who?
Widows and orphans.
That's right. That's it. And you all are helping us to make that possible. You're stirring up the church. You're waking us up from our sleep, and we so appreciate your stories in the past, but the powerful things that you're down doing in the present, and we know it's going to have an impact on the future. You said a whole lot about your history, but I want you to bring us forward. You've heard the famous words, Houston, there's a problem. Well, San Antonio, there's a problem. Can you bring us forward to the problem that we're dealing with as it relates to orphan care?
Wow, it's varied. So it's a lot of different, pieces of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
Primarily, though, we have a crisis in our city that relates, one, to the number and the quality of foster homes for our children.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a crisis in the number of children who remain waiting to be adopted. So we kind of have this two-pronged system, and I think on top of all of that, we don't have anyone in the community mentoring or really being a support system. We have all these churches, hundreds and thousands of churches in our city, and very few, a handful of churches are wrapping around these kids.
Like for instance, we've seen statistics that say if we had, for all the churches that are in the community, if we had each church step up and have one family foster a child or adopt a child, and then that congregation wrap around and provide services and support, that we wouldn't have the problems that we have present day with youth not having placements. So that's one of the biggest issues that we struggle with, and we've seen it on the news where we have children staying in the buildings, children
buildings?
In the CPS buildings, and sometimes we're fortunate when we can get them in shelters, but again, those are for limited time frames.
Right.
Ideally, we'd like to give a child an opportunity to be in a home, whether that's a group home or one-on-one foster home. We definitely want them to have as much normancy as possible, because that's very important.
Right.
And so we're really looking to the church to step in, because we know, not just scripturally based, we know historically that before it was CPS's plight to take care of the children and protect the unprotected, a lot of the churches had orphanages where they oversaw the caretaking of children.
Right.
And so we're really trying to get back to that model, because we know the churches are successful in not only taking care of the children, but mending families and
Healing spirits,
right?
right?
And helping to continue services long beyond the time frames that we have to adhere to. In addition to that, we know that they can also be successful at helping to recruit in potential foster families or adoptive families, and then again support them over the long haul. And we've seen, and when I talk about my own testimony, when I'm asked, well, what made you as a former foster youth so successful, is because I connected to the church, and a lot of the church family really helped nurture and guide me, and I think Hope said as well, as where the church has stepped in and helped with her her needs. And so we know just how instrumental the church can be. And so that's why we're really trying to get back to that model of what they can do to help in this problem. Because it's not just a CPS issue, it's a community issue. These youth grow up to be members of society, and we want them to be as successful as they possibly can.
Yes. What happens if we don't wake up? If we don't sound the alarm, sound the trumpet in behalf of these children who have already been injured, and we just now injure them again through neglect by acting as if they don't exist, what will happen?
Wow, the sky's the limit. So a lot of our children, when they don't have positive community connections, they will end up homeless. They couch surf, so sometimes they don't feel homeless, but they're staying with a bunch of different people. And then, of course, eventually I get to a place where there's desperation in these youth. They have to make money, they have to support themselves, and so what can I do with no skills and no job ability to get money? And so they engage in lifestyles sometimes that are just not appropriate. They may be arrested, they may become addicted to drugs, they may sell their bodies. And then, of course, inevitably, there's a child that's born and they're back in the CPS system. So really, we're trying to prevent all of the negative outcomes, because the potential for greatness exists in all of our kids. There's no youth in foster care who doesn't have hopes or dreams or wishes for themselves for the future. But what happens is, the longer I sit around with no one pouring into me, then I become bitter, and it's harder for me to see that I can do and I can accomplish. And so they do start to lose their hope.
The walls come up. And we like to say that no child is unadoptable. You know, there's a family for every child, and it's, you know, Hope stated earlier, if you can nurture and guide that child and pour into that child, help draw out their strengths so then they can see, well, what can I do productive in society? What career path can I follow? You know, show them that they can excel because of all the negative things that have been told to them or spoken over them.
Right.
Now we're called to nurture and guide them. And so that's something that, you know, without the community stepping forward and taking accountability for our youth, that they can't attain the greatness that's been placed in on the inside of them.
That is so awesome. I love what you said. No child unadoptable. No child that is not even able to be redeemed. I mean, doesn't God by his grace show all of us who did not deserve the relationship we have with him, but he brought us into his family.
Absolutely.
He treated us so much greater than what Mel Peace deserved. Yeah, I don't know about y'all, but what I deserve. And as a result, we need to go in the highways and byways and literally look for those that we can cover and we can bless. Talk to us very quickly before we begin to wrap it up. You probably have a million stories, but I'm sure you have your favorites. Some of those stories of redemption where perhaps someone else said, it'll never be anything good. It's too far gone. It's over. She or he, it is what it is, you know.
Wash your hands.
Yeah. And somebody washed their hands, whether it was the justice system, the parents, or whoever. Tell us some of those stories that you know, as we say, that the devil is a lie.
Well, there's one young lady that comes to mind. She is very successful, works now, has a full-time job, but she tells a story about, you know, growing up in foster care and how difficult it was and being moved from placement to placement to placement. But she was placed in a foster home. She's a Hispanic young lady, placed with an African-American family. And when she was placed with the family, she just connected. You know, and she called her mom, and she just was always there for her.
Yeah.
The placement didn't last. You know, she had a talk with her and said, listen, I care about you, but the placement isn't working out. You're not able to follow the rules, and you know, you're gonna just have to go somewhere else, but I'm still here for you. If you need me, I'm still here for you. And so she said, you know, she left, and she'd be somewhere else, and everybody else was getting phone calls at the group home. She said, I'm gonna call my foster mom. And she'd call her, and she'd pick up, and she would talk to her. And she would kind of coach her through those pieces of her life. Don't worry about it, it's gonna be okay. So when this young lady got pregnant, and she was struggling, she was a teen mom, she didn't know what to do. CPS got involved, CPS is threatening to take her child. She reconnects, really she stayed connected with, but she called her foster mom to say, listen, I need your help. You know, what are we gonna do?
Wow.
And so they're very candid conversation. Foster mom comes to court and she says, you know, I don't think I can do it. You know, I don't really think that I can take your child. It's a lot. And as they sat there, she just was convicted by God. And she just said, you know what, I'm going to take this. We're going to make it work. I'm going to take this baby. We're going to be okay. So that young lady now has gone on. She's had another child. She's working successfully. She's a student. But she has that relationship with her mom, who is not even the same ethnicity as her. But she couldn't feel more connected to her. That, you know, foster mom adopted her daughter, but she has a relationship with both of them now. And she has the relationship where she feels, if I need you, you are there. We are family. I know you're going to wait for me before you eat Thanksgiving dinner. You're not going to just eat. You're going to wait till I get there because I'm included and I'm a part of this family. So sometimes the stories, they have curves down the road, right? But with the right person, with the right nurturing family, with the connection to Christ, they can get right back on track. So their stories, they may have things that have happened that aren't perfect, just like we all do. But that's one of my favorite stories. Just seeing how she's come back and she's healed and her family's healed too.
Yeah, that's so encouraging. I hope you've been encouraged by that because you can stand up and make the same type of difference in someone else's life. Cheronda, I know you have one, or two, or three.
I have so many to think about. A lot of my stories come from the youth who I myself were, you know, aged out with. And so I think of one that comes to mind She was a young lady, and she was actually adopted with her siblings. And through the course of the adoption, it kind of failed, and she was returned back into the foster care system, even though her one sibling remained. And I think a lot of it was because she was older, and she still had a connection in her heart for her family. And so she was returned, and she struggled until she emancipated out of the system. And I think she didn't really think much about her previous adoptive family, other than she felt some kind of way about the fact that they raised her younger sibling, and she was returned back. And she was a Hispanic young girl, and this family was an Anglo family, and she just kind of felt that maybe they wanted the younger sibling because she was a fairer skin tone. But as time kind of progressed, and she went on in her life, and she, had kids, got married, had a nice career, and then she ended up divorced. She found out that just how committed that family was, that she was able to go back, and whenever she needed help with her children, that not just her sister needed help with her children, and that adoptive family helped to raise her children, but they have been there for her with her children as well. And she has an advantage; she's in the military. So usually in the military, as a single parent, it is very hard. You deploy, you have all these different weekends that you have to go out in the field. And I mean, so connected to where she's in a whole nother state than what the adoptive family is, and that they really work together to keep the kids. And so that is just something that, when we say a commitment, we're looking for lifelong connections. Connections, sometimes as a foster parent, but definitely as an adoptive parent, because you will be there to share some first. And there's a video that we show where we talk about some of the populations that are harder to place, whether they're minority, whether they're large sibling groups, whether there are special needs children, or especially our African American children. But when we talk about those different things, we're looking for the long run. And so getting these young folks connected to people who are saying, I'm going to be there, when you buy your first car. I'm going to be there when you walk down the aisle. I'm going to be there when you have your baby and there's someone holding your hand in the hospital room. Those are the first times that you can sometimes still get with our older youth, because they're also part of that population. So sometimes, we'll get folks coming in saying, I want a baby. And unfortunately, the babies aren't as hard to place as these older youth who are still in need of families. And so, a lot of people may not know, but, even if you're thinking, I'm only going to have them for a couple of short few years, it's a lifelong commitment. You're going to have them much longer than that. And, you'll get to celebrate things that, you never would have thought. Like some of them didn't have a specialized birthday. This is just about you. They didn't even know that existed. Or go on their first roller coaster. A lot of these things that many of us take for granted is wonderful to be able to bless a child with. And begin to see some of your family traditions rub off on them, and then you'll see them implementing it as they begin to grow into their own families. So it's truly a rewarding opportunity for someone to open up their heart and open their homes to the children who are in need.
So beautiful.
And sometimes we talk about CPS, especially, we always talk about foster and adopt because the need is so great. But the other piece of that is what I like to call moral adoption. Because you can be a mentor and a connection to a youth without them ever living in their home. Just connecting with them, being that source of support. When they're stuck on the side of a road, God forbid, if they should get arrested and they need to call somebody, that you're there for them, that they have holiday dinners with you, and so sometimes we think about it only in terms of a legal adoption. But the reality is that we can touch children's lives and help them to grow without ever adopting them. And that's important.
This is so
Now, I'm going to tell you something. Something that I think stood out in my heart was I once had a foster sibling who told me that, I call them all foster siblings, because once you're in the foster care system, that's just part of what our niche, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our community. But they told me, they said, you know, I spend a lot of money paying for services because as an adult, I don't have anybody to be there for me. So when you think about it, it blew my mind because they said, I pay for AAA,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in case I'm on the side of the road and I don't have anybody to call or a flat tire.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about that and I was just like, wow, you know, what a heartbreak, because you go through life being told you're not wanted,
Right.
or being abused as if you're not special.
Right.
And then what a weight to carry into your adulthood that still feels like you're an outcast and there's no one there for you.
Yes.
And so you definitely want to make a connection to everyone, because God didn't intend for us to be alone.
No.
You know, we're all meant to be this great tapestry
Yes.
of individuals that are interconnected
Yes.
to help one another in
Yes.
this great, beautiful thing we call life.
Yes.
And I
So-
can't picture an age where you don't need or want a family.
Absolutely.
Right,
So,
right,
absolutely.
Right. Well, ladies, you have blessed us. We could do this all day, every day. I know I can, just listening to your stories. I'll share a little bit about mine, and then we'll end it talking about Project 50, and I want to thank you for your help of this powerful thing. My first experience with foster was actually after I had left home, went into the military, United States Air Force, and I go back home and discover that my mom has other kids. And I'm like, what's really going on? Yeah, what's really going on? You know, but we had conversations on the phone and everything, but I got to meet them in person. And it was a very strong impression made in my heart, because she had always been that type of person, her and my grandmother, blessing of the kids in the neighborhood, always being there with the kids who had families. So now she was taking it a step further with the children who didn't have families, and it left a very big mark in my life. And my wife and I, Kendra, when we got married, before we got married, we talked about adopting. That was in our engagement years, and it took probably 20 years to go by before it came to our reminder about what we had said we would do. And about 10 years ago exactly, we had the honor to become foster parents and then to adopt. So our third child, our oldest child, is ours through adoption, who we love so much, and we have 2 grandchildren through her. And that experience has brought me forward to meet you all, working with you as the specialists and trainers and recruiters that you are, to bring me into your circle in the world. So thank you so very much for that. But now, ladies and gentlemen, let me just thank God, because something big and fantastic is happening. Coming up on my 50th birthday, and we're going to do some big things together. These ladies have decided that we're going to jump out of that plane. We're going to skydive together.
Yes.
Yes.
Quietly.
Yes.
11,000 feet. We're going to open that big door. That wind is going to almost suck us out, and then we're just going to let go and let God.
Let God.
Amen. I touch and agree with
Yeah,
you.
there you go. Touch over there.
We gonna be linked up. Touch and agree.
But it's so exciting. But, you know, a lot of times we do so many different things on our birthdays, and really I've been thinking about my 50th when I was 30. I said, Lord, if you, because I wanted to do it before, and I wanted to skydive, but now it's going to be jumping for a cause.
Absolutely.
Jumping for the children. Because I want to jump out of something, the plane, but I want to jump into something, which is a whole new level of service. I want to be a voice and a vehicle to really help the church, especially the church, not only the church, but especially the church, to wake up and to go back to our roots, where you said that we were.
Absolutely.
From scripture and from historical experience. We were the gurus. We were the experts. We were the covering for any kid that didn't have a mama or a daddy in their lives. And I know we need to go back to that. So thank you, because Project 50, that's what that's about. Very quickly, I'm going to tell you what Project 50 is, and we hope that you will support this effort. Project 50 is my personal means to bring into the San Antonio area at least 50 new persons serving in orphan ministry, whether it is for foster care, whether it is adoption, whether it is service as a moral adoption to one of the kids who just need somebody to talk to. Whatever those opportunities are, we all can do. Nobody can do everything, but all of us can do something. So Project 50 is about my effort to take, we can't take life for granted. I don't even know if I'll make it to 50, but every day is a blessing from God. But whatever space God gives me, you have my pledge. It's on camera. My life is pledged to the cause that you have literally laid down your life for and put a career in front of you to serve these kids. I want to do everything in my power to bring more people to the table, get them all on the ship, because if we can all row together and all row in the same direction, yeah, we can get there a whole lot faster. Amen. So ladies and gentlemen, go to the website, find out more about Project 50. We're also going to raise at least $15,000. Trust me, it's not going towards me. It's going to go straight to the ministry. It's going to go to Joshua House of Worship, who already has a partnership with one of the shelters where we serve. And we are so fascinated about these kids that we meet. We go to inspire them, and every single time they inspire us. So if you would like to be a part, if you want to jump, maybe you don't want to jump out the plane, but at least jump into this need with us. Partner with us, Project 50. Go to PastorMelKeys.com/Project 50. That's Pastor Mel Keys, KEYES.com/Project 50, and you'll find out more about how you can get on that plane, skydive with myself and these two beautiful sisters, land, and just go out and serve God even more for this cause. I want you to give us some closing remarks and tell us how we can connect with you.
Well, through Child Protective Services, our website is www.dfps.state.tx.us. We do have a Facebook page, we do have a Twitter account, we do have a YouTube page.
Wow.
So we are hip to the social media.
All right.
And then we do have an additional page for those who want to adopt. It is our TARE website. TARE stands for Texas Adoption Resource Exchange. And then we also have our Heart Gallery of San Antonio website that you can also go to as well. So put in the Google search, find us, click on us, email us, call us, and certainly someone can assist you with any questions or direct you to get you started.
And Cheronda, give us your email too.
All right, my email is my first name, CHERONDA, dot my last name, which is TILLMAN, so Cheronda.Tillman at dfps.state.tx.us.
Wonderful. Praise God.
My
Praise God.
contact
Praise
number
God.
was just about the same. So for me, of course, I work exclusively in the faith-based community.
Yes.
So if there's anyone watching who is a member of a house of worship, whether it's a Christian base, it does not matter. It can be a mosque, a temple. If you are a person of faith and you want to pour into the lives of these children, then you will reach out to me.
Yes.
We can create something that is solely unique to your organization, to your faith-based organization. And so that may be mentoring, it might be a foster and adopt ministry, it might be donation drives, it does not matter.
Right.
But we can create something that the house of worship can be proud of.
Yes.
And so you can also look us up on the website that Cheronda gave. My personal email is hope.shelton, SHELTON, at dfps.state.tx.us,
It's
right?
a mouthful.
It's a lot.
It
So,
is.
but yeah, we would love to hear from the community. We'd love for people to reach out. We are just trying to impact the lives of these kids. So, families, even CPS workers, if someone wants to support and nurture CPS workers, it does not matter.
Yeah.
There is a place for us all at the table.
Yes. Wonderful, wonderful. Ladies, thank y'all so much. In closing, guys, listen, we're doing this together. 3 persons in this room, we have hundreds, if not thousands of people in this city already on board. But even 1,000 persons are not enough. I love what you said earlier. If every church, if every house of worship became responsible for one family that needed help in this capacity, what a difference it can make.
Absolutely.
And what a glory we can give to God, even with Project 50. If you'll help me, I'll be so honored for your help and your partnership to get 50 new persons serving the needs of the children who need it the most. This is Pastor Mel Keys, and we are Joshua Generation, and we are claiming God's promises together right here, right now.